Hello my souls, welcome to my video about the Considerate Cat Tarot deck. I'm so happy you're here. I'm going to be talking about maybe 20 of the cards from the deck, so we have a lot to get through. First of all, I want to thank the dear friend who gave me this deck. She is amazing. She is the best gift giver ever. She also made this little Eevee, in case you know Pokemon. She made this little Eevee for me. It's crocheted. When it comes to gifts, she's really the friend you want, honestly. And I could never repay her for all the amazing gifts she's given me. And now Considerate Cat Tarot has been added to my collection. And I want to talk to you about the symbolism in about 20 of these cards. And I'm also going to tell you what my favorite card in the whole deck is. It's actually going to be the last card that I'm going to talk about because it's one of the last cards in the deck. So stay tuned, as they say, right? I want to say real quick that the booklet is very cutely done. It has an amazing little spread for communicating with your pet. So if you want to find out what your cat may need, or your dog, I guess, you can use this tarot spread and communicate with the cat that way, or with the pet. And I think that's a very amazing idea because very often cats do not express pain, in case you didn't know this. They aren't like dogs who whimper. But rather they are always lone creatures, so they cannot show pain because they are in danger of predators noticing that they are in pain and then killing them and preying on them. And that is why cats never openly express their pain. They always have little ways to get around it. But anyway, I just went on a rant that has nothing to do with tarot. I just thought that was an interesting fact that I learned. Because if something is wrong with your dog, you're going to know. If something is wrong with your cat, you have to pay very close attention. And I feel like the spread could even help with that. So that's a really wonderful idea. Now let's talk about the first card, the Fool. What I love about this card is that he is just wrapped up in a little yarn ball. And yarn to me is always a symbol of divine expression and of the many things that surround us, the golden thread of our life, basically. I know I'm starting out on a really solemn note here, but I think that unraveling the yarn that is our life, that is our psyche, that is all the experiences around us, is very enriching. And seeing it as a yarn ball while making it seem a little bit too determined maybe, or predetermined, I think it makes it exciting because you never know what you're going to come across. You never know what is connected to what. And this little cat ended up getting tangled up, so you don't even know if all of that yarn is from that yarn ball or a different yarn ball. And you know, it's just sort of a general symbol of connection and of daring to play around with the world and all of the connectivity that it holds. The High Priestess, I simply want to say that she is a beauty to behold. I love that she is sitting on a veil, which, you know, traditionally the High Priestess would sit in front of sometimes a curtain or between two pillars. And she is actually sort of hovering in space in front of what looks like very simplistic and beautiful flowers. And I love that she is sitting on this veil that is kind of see-through, but also kind of mystical. So it definitely has this explorative vibe as well. And she looks very knowingly at you. She looks like she knows what is happening. And if you want to look behind that veil, you'd better pet her. The Emperor is the first card that kind of illustrates one of the small issues I have with this deck. The little guidebook that I have does not come with explanations of the rescue cats, which means that I do not know quite the story behind every single cat. So if you have two cats, like in the Emperor card, one of them has like a folded down ear and the other one is in the background, you never quite know why they are personifying that card. For example, I don't know why there are these two cats in this specific card. I have no idea because I don't know their story. That said, you can always go on the website and read up on their stories. It's just that to read them intuitively, you have to make up a lot of stories yourself if you don't know these stories, which can also be super inspiring. Next, we have the Lovers. What I like about this card is that it has this air of safety, of diving into the darkness, because both cats are only shadows, and it's not purely here's the female cat and here's the male cat. No. They are just shadows in front of a window, and they could be anything. And the explorative aspect of the Lovers, that you get to know sides of yourself that you didn't know yet in a safe space, is what I see in this. Because they are behind a window, it's raining outside, which I think for a lot of us, especially if we love reading, if we love tarot, rain outside and warmth inside is the best feeling ever, the best atmosphere, you know? It's very inspiring. And the Lovers expresses this exploration while at the same time being in your comfort zone. The Chariot I just want to mention because I found it incredibly creative that she combined a VW and a little black mouse and a little white mouse to represent the horses that are traditionally in the Chariot. It's very, very adorable and interesting. The Hanged Man is one of my favorite cards in the whole deck, and one of the reasons is because if you look closely at that cat, it has very long whiskers and very long, I guess, eyebrows. I don't know what you call those hairs that they have on above their eyes. And that, to me alone, expresses this openness to the world. This cat was born to perceive things in a different way, and maybe in a more sensitive way. And seeing that it climbed on top of that high pine tree also shows that not only with its other four senses does it want to experience the world fully, but it also wants to use seeing and, vision to widen its view. So you have all five senses sort of combined in this cat, I feel like. And it's definitely a call to use that aspect of sensuality and looking at the world that surrounds you and perceiving it rather than always acting. It's more about looking at it calmly and reflecting on what is around you and perceiving more than acting. The Death card, what amazes me about it is that she has 9 dots that surround the cat like the 9 lives. I'm not quite sure this was intentional, probably, but I know that this is a common theme in the deck. There's always a circle that surrounds the cat or a circle that surrounds something else, and then the little dots around it. I don't know if it was a coincidence that it was 9, maybe not, but I love it because it sort of reflects not only on death, but also on rebirth and the 9 lives of a cat and, it walking around as a skeleton, basically. So you have both the aspect of being stripped to the bones and looking at the bare minimum of what makes up your body and your psyche, but also what can be reborn from this interaction with yourself. The Justice card I find incredibly interesting. I have never seen a Justice card that has put so much emphasis on community, because you can see a lot of cats in this. I think probably some of them are her cats, the artist's cats, or rescue cats. And usually justice is not so much about the legal communal aspect, but more about personal justice and doing justice to yourself, basically, doing justice to others, making room in your life for the things that really matter. And I think that this puts a very interesting spin on it that I still have to think about a little bit, because the cats are taking the time to spend with each other, looking at the aurora borealis in the sky. And I find that very inspiring. I'm definitely going to have to sit with this card a little. The Tower is another example of the cards sometimes looking very different from their traditional viewpoint. and their traditional symbolism, because the cat on here is in a very comfortable position. It looks a bit upset because its tail is bushy, or maybe its tail is just bushy naturally, but it doesn't look scared or insecure. Symbolism wise, it's a lot different. You know, she could have drawn a cat that is like toppling over or losing balance on top of one of the big constructions that it is walking on, but she chose to give it a lot of stability. There's also a dandelion, or a dandelion, however you say it. I'm not a native English speaker, and I think even native English speakers pronounce it differently, so tell me in the comments whether you say dandelion or dandelion. So yes, I will have to think about what this means. I guess it has this sense of transitoriness, or maybe that this stability is only temporal, and that maybe you can expect something to happen at any point. I'll have to think more about it. Now, the Sun card shows something that I hold very dear about the art style of this artist. So her drawings aren't, you know, super realistic. They don't have shading. They don't have a bunch of special effects happening in them most of the time. They are just very basic and comfortable and flowing, you know what I mean? And the fact that she used the window light kind of shining down on that cat is such an awesome effect. You know, if she always drew everything very realistically, this wouldn't even stand out. But because the rest of her style is more minimalist and more clear colors, this little effect of shadow and light, I feel, adds a lot to this card, and it brings across that feeling of resting in the sun that cats love so much. The World card, I think, is one of the cards that we have all seen a lot on Instagram if you have researched this deck like I did. What I love is the wilderness aspect. You have this wild grass plain and some trees in the background, and there is nothing I love more than a good unkempt lawn that has wild grass growing on it and wild flowers. It's just so beautiful, and it expresses summer to me. I can almost hear the chirping of the birds and the insects, you know, when I look at this card, and the pure bliss that this cat feels being in this wilderness that is at the same time comforting and not threatening is just beautiful. Now I want to talk about the Six of Cups, because this card has another one of those effects that you wouldn't necessarily expect, because it is a wind-swept cat. You have wind playing a very big role in this, and also clouds in the background. And clouds always remind me of intuition, cloud gazing, but the wind reminds me of my dreams, I guess. I dream a lot about storms, and I dream a lot about that threatening atmosphere right before a storm starts, and that's why it has a special place in my heart. And I really love that she brought a long-haired cat into this, whose hair is just being swept to one side, and all of the grass as well. So I'd have to think further about, you know, usually the Six of Cups means having childhood memories or re-engaging with things from your former self, maybe finding comfort in childishness. I don't quite know what to make of it yet, but it speaks to me very deeply, on a very deep level. Now I have the Father of Cups. This is just another example of me not quite knowing what to make of the cat. This cat doesn't have ears, which of course tells a story in itself, and that's what I like too. You know, you see the cat and it's not all just normal cats. There are disabled cats, there are cats that have obviously gone through some things, and seeing this is very inspiring as well, because it makes you think about a cat's life and about your own life. The Three of Pentacles, I just want to say very quickly that I find it interesting that humans are often implied in these cards, because obviously I think these cats did not paint the pentagrams that the card shows on their own. but rather it is a very beautiful scene. We might even be the ones painting and returning back to the table to find that the cats have sort of taken up our space in two ways. One is on the chair and one is on the table, wanting to be included in this creative process. And that is what I love about this card. And it actually just came to me this minute. Cats always come to you while you work when they want to be included. And the Three of Pentacles is all about including others in your work and building something bigger together. So maybe next time this card is telling you, maybe next time include your cat in whatever activity you are doing, especially if it's something creative, which obviously this artist did in a very prime way, because her whole deck is inspired by her cats, and I bet her cats definitely helped her during the painting process and the drawing process. Now, the Six of Pentacles is another example of that beautiful light effect. If you look at it, you have the Six Pentacles hanging on the walls, and then the light of the window just projecting onto the wall. The cat is waiting, sitting on the veil, just like the High Priestess. And I feel like this cat, or this card, I'm sorry, both, this card is calling you to rest up after a long day of work. Usually, you know, the Six of Pentacles is about restoring balance in a very active way, but this might be about restoring balance by sitting down, appreciating your work, petting your kitty, scratching your kitty, and just being with it. And I love that it gives this different connotation. And these cats are all inviting us into a certain energy, because nothing is more inviting than a cat on a couch, honestly. Who could resist a cat on a couch? So that's what I really like about these cards. They invite you into a space. So it's very easy to step into the card and understand, okay, this card is about relaxation. The Eight of Pentacles is a very interesting card. Traditionally, it is about honing your craft and about, you know, learning more about your own skill set, about your own abilities, getting to the depth of your talents. And in this deck, when my friend, who also gave me this deck, drew this card, she was actually thinking kind of the opposite. Because this card, this cat, I'm going to switch up those two words a lot. This cat is sort of almost disintegrating in its work. It is surrounded by pentacles, and there is no body, there is no groundedness, there is only work, if you want to read it like that. So this can be positive, obviously. Losing yourself in your work, getting into the flow can be beautiful, but it can also be ungrounding, and you forget your body, you forget to take care of the vessel that you are in. And I feel like that is the cautionary meaning that this Eight of Pentacles very strongly suggests. And I think that would be beautiful in any deck. I have never seen this in a deck, this disintegration aspect in the Eight of Pentacles, but I think it's very clever. The Daughter of Pentacles, I just want to mention because it's this cute baby kitty and the mom kitty kind of, you know, giggling at it, I suppose. And the daughter doesn't seem to quite know what's going on. It definitely has a very warm and loving mother-daughter relationship sort of aspect to it. And I love that for the Daughter of Pentacles, who goes her own way, but and supports herself, but also has the support of her family behind her, who may giggle at her for the attempts she makes at bringing life to her ideas, but they are there for her. The Two of Swords, I want to talk about this card because, first of all, it has one of my favorite symbols ever, a sword stuck in a stone. I don't know, I love that symbol so much because mythologically, as you know, it always comes with this energy of you are the chosen one, and the chosen one will draw out the sword because you are unique and you are the only one who can own your power, you know? And this feeling is definitely kind of invoked by this Two of Swords, even though it is in a crystal, which I find interesting. And then the cat is sort of holding onto the crystal. I feel like it might be calling you to reflect on your strengths and your uniqueness. And the cat is sort of inviting you once again to do that and is with you in that process. So It's definitely not a traditional Two of Swords, but I would love to hear your thoughts about it. What do you see in this card? Because at first I couldn't quite make sense of it and how it relates to the Rider-Waite system. I don't know if the author maybe also drew from the Thoth system or the Marseille system. I am familiar with the Thoth system, but not so much with Marseille. So if you have any ideas on these cards, there's definitely more coming up that are untraditional. The Six of Swords I find very interesting again, because it's not so much about moving on as it usually is, the Six of Swords, but about rest and recuperation. And I hope that cat is not supposed to be dead. I don't think so. It is just resting, right? It's just resting in a little nest surrounded by swords. So it's somewhere in between comforting and threatening. I'm going to have to think more about it. If you have any ideas, let me know. Now, the Ten of Swords shows an aspect of this deck that I wish there was more of, because most of the time the cats are very stationary and very calm. But in the Ten of Swords, there's dynamic in there. The cat is hissing. It is angry. It is trying to defend itself. It's scared. And the body language that cats have is very amazing once you get to know it. And I feel like there's some dynamic missing from some of the cards that I wish had been there. But at the same time, I understand why the artist did it, because you want to be drawn in by the cat. You are the active party. And maybe in this case, you want to protect the cat. You know what I mean? So the cat is sort of the point to which you move and to which you relate to. And so I understand that they aren't all active and all jumping around. The Five of Wands is one of those cards that I can't quite comprehend as of now. So once again, tell me your thoughts. It seems to be a cat that is holding 5 stalks of, could be yarrow, could be any sort of little flower. I don't know if they are supposed to be stuck in her paw, but I don't think so. It doesn't look dangerous. And the Five of Wands traditionally is about inner and outer combat, coming to terms with a certain fight that you might be having, standing up for yourself, getting your will, coming out on top, basically. But this one, I can't quite see it yet. So if you have any ideas on that, let me know. It looks more peaceful and more, you know, a cat kind of owning its power more than anything. The Six of Wands, I really, really love. I know I say that I love all of these cards and you're probably like, ugh, that girl, she just loves everything. But I do. So the Six of Wands has these cloud kitties. The Six of Wands is usually, you know, about leadership and about a community coming together and one person getting credit and being recognized for their abilities and then leading the others. But I feel like it's a bit the other way around in this card. You kind of have a Six of Cups vibe where you have the cat in front of the house, and I feel like she is the one being guided by all of the cats that have come before her. Because those cloud kitties, that's ancestors, at least as I intuitively see it. You have more multiple kitties guiding one. And at the same time, you also have this viewpoint of you coming home to a cat that might help you and that might have a message for you, because it looks like it's waiting for you. It's got something to say to you. So drawing this card might mean that there's a message, a guiding message coming up to you. The Eight of Wands is another one I absolutely adore because of the atmosphere. It has that kind of stormy vibe going on in the sky, and then the contrast with the pink cherry trees. It just does something to me. Like, the pink cherry trees, the stormy sky, the cats running along that trail that is full of spring flowers. And once again, it has that dynamic that I talked about with the Ten of Swords and this, you know, activeness. You don't necessarily feel like these cats are waiting for you. No, they are going their own path. There's a lot of energy in this card, and you're more the observer than someone who is meant to step into the card and interact with these cats, maybe. If you have this deck as well, let me know. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, how you are getting along with it. I have to say the Eight of Wands is definitely my favorite card in the deck because of that stormy sky, cherry blossom contrast. It just has a very good energy to me. And yes, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like, maybe subscribe to me. That really helps me and supports me. And yes, I love it when people dwell in my little YouTube domain with me. So feel free to join and cuddle with your kitties if you have one. If you do not, dream about kitties. Or cuddle with your dog if you have a dog, or any sort of pet. Just cuddle your pet for me, okay? I love you all, and I'll see you next time.